Okay, we're at the business centre of Namco Bandai here at E3, and we're talking about Dark Souls today. Thank you very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us. Just, I want to ask what you're actually showing at E3.
So what we're trying to show with the E3 build is one of the concepts of the game, which is sense of satisfaction when able to overcome the difficulties and challenges of the game. The second concept is obviously the loose connection that you have with other players on the online space. But for the sake of this demo, we're really trying to express obviously the difficulty and the challengingness of what Dark Souls 2 will show, but obviously the sense of satisfaction when you're able to overcome. So hopefully people can pick up the demo and realize that Dark Souls 2 still carries the core essence of what Dark Souls is in a different way, and we'll be able to provide a different sense of satisfaction when playing.
Just wanted to query that. Exploration is such a big part of Dark Souls 2, and when you discover monsters and get attacked in dungeons, when you're trying to obviously market and do these sort of campaign trails almost when you're sort of demoing the game, is it that hard thing to balance between you want to show people what you've got in Dark Souls 2, but at the same time you don't want to spoil all the secrets?
So that's a very good point. It's a tough question to really answer. From my personal feeling, I actually don't want to show anything at all because I don't want to spoil anything for the players. Dark Souls is the type of game where you know certain stuff, it becomes a little bit easier than the player actually wants it to be. So I don't want to spoil anything. But at the same time, I know a lot of players want to actually see how things are progressing and what kind of things they can start to expect. So it's a tough balance. But for the sake of E3, we did provide a demo and some footage so that we can give a glimpse of what can be expected for Dark Souls 2, and to also show that the challenges will be there, the difficulty will be there, sense of satisfaction will be there, and it'll be a core Dark Souls feeling. But just a couple words of hints. What you see in the demo for E3, I'm sure we're going to try and balance it or tune it a little bit so that it changes in the final game. So players can be sure that anything that they see won't necessarily be a spoiler, so they can still look forward to the final experience when they pick up the game.
Now I've got to ask something, because the last time we talked was at the Namco Bandai Global Gamers Day. Now on that demo you finished on a bridge scene where you had a cross, but you were attacked by flying sort of creatures, dragons, and you're tossed off the side. You said at that particular point there is a way around that. I have spent the last few months trying to figure out what that is. Is there any way you can tell me how you do that?
Well, I'm actually not going to tell you very much right now. It might be a little bit of might seem a little bit unfair, but the footage that you saw is not everything. You might be able to find hints somewhere else, but I want you to figure that out for yourself.
I'm really unhappy with you right now. Okay, I'll have to solve that myself then. But I want to talk creature design with you. Obviously, you've got this beautiful dark world. Where are you drawing inspiration from for the creature designs for Dark Souls 2?
So there's a long process when we come up with the enemies. First of all, I talk with my team, I speak with my team, and we constantly discuss in terms of what kind of enemies we want to create. We make sure that we've lined down a concept of the enemy, how we want the players to tackle this enemy, what kind of movements, what kind of strategy we want the players to take to conquer this enemy. So we lie down a base concept for how we want the enemy to act, or what kind of result we want the enemy to carry out. And based on that, we carry out a lot of discussion, and we decide sort of as a team, and it's a growing process. So we make sure that we leave the core concept, but it evolves so that it fits the game itself. In terms of the actual designs, as you said, we do have this dark world that we want to work in. We want to make sure we stay true to the universe and the overall visual appeal as well of this dark fantasy world. And we want to stay unique as much as possible for Dark Souls, but at the same time make sure that the enemies actually fit within and stay true to the old sort of type of fantasy world that we're trying to create. So there's a couple processes, but we want to stay true visually and also provide something new as from a conceptual standpoint when deciding on the content of the enemies.
The game's obviously coming out for this generation machines, but there is that idea about that connectivity, that tissue between different players. And I just wanted to pick on your thoughts with the next gen machines, basically because there's a wider, stronger connected world that they are pushing for, whether you have any thoughts on that and whether that interests you in reference to Dark Souls, the franchise.
So as I said, Dark Souls 2 will be on the current consoles. As you said, the next-gen consoles do have a lot of features, do have a lot of specs that will improve, obviously, the network and online space. And, in the future, utilizing those specs is something that I always keep in mind. But at the same time, the way From Software, the way we sort of design games is not from a feature perspective. The way we think is we think of what we want to provide the players and what we want the players to actually do. If the specs are able to support that, great. But we try not to depend on what the consoles are able to do. We want to first come up with the actual concept of what we want players to do, and that's how it was for Demon's Souls and Dark Souls as well. We wanted to create this loose connection, and we figure out how we can use the specific consoles to fulfill that. So as much as the next gen consoles do have a lot of potential, and I don't doubt the potential, but I think the initial game design will have to come first in terms of what we want to provide for the players and how we want to provide a new experience for any Dark Souls fans.
I'm just interested to know whether you pay attention to social media. I mean, for something like this where there's an E3 demo, people are getting hands-on with the game. Do you sort of keep an eye on to see what those reactions are, what the feedback is?
Yes, I definitely try to pay as much attention to the social community as much as possible, especially for an event like this at E3. I see people playing it. If I can directly listen to some opinions, it is always of reference. But unfortunately for E3 so far, I've been in interviews all day long, so I haven't been really able to pay attention to a lot of the feedback. But of course, it is something that I always try to keep in mind in terms of any comments that are provided.
Well, just in closing then, where are you now in development and what have you got left before the game is released?
So in game progression, if we express it in numbers, we're about 65% there, 60-65% there, which means we're past halfway point. Now we just have to finish this off. We're I guess less than a year out from releasing the game itself, so we're going to go full steam ahead to try and deliver the best experience for Dark Souls 2.